Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, 20 February. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the United States and Iran are in an impasse after Geneva nuclear talks. Venezuela has passed an amnesty law for political prisoners, and thousands of Kenyans have been recruited for Russia's war. So firstly, a second round of negotiations between Iran and the United States in Geneva on Monday ended without concrete results. The Iranian foreign minister and his team of technical experts met with the US special envoys, who were Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law. But both sides had little to show for it after 3 hours of talks. Afterwards, they said the meeting was more constructive than previous rounds held, but nothing actually was achieved. They said they'd agreed on a set of guiding principles that had been reached, but did not share further details. Does not mean that we can reach an agreement quickly, but at least the path has begun. So what? To me, it's kind of possible that at any point Trump will lose his patience and just attack Iran. There's significant buildup of assets in the Middle East, primarily for combat operations against Iran, which Trump has made very clear. This is essentially, you make a deal with us or we will attack you. That's basically how this situation is going. And yeah, I know I've talked about it in the past, but war is politics by another man. Great Clausewitz saying there, but this is the prime result. It's a very hard situation to judge. Lots of people have been asking me what I think is going to happen, and Trump is extremely unpredictable, which means it could go any way at any point. The talks are progressing. Like, they are slowly progressing, and they are difficult talks. Like, Iran is essentially negotiating its future at gunpoint with the United States. So it's not going to be a quick and easy task. They need to try and get the best deal they can for themselves. And on the other hand, Trump is an extremely erratic character to deal with, who at any point could order full-on attacks against Iran. So yeah, the other interesting situation here is the UK allegedly not allowing the US to use UK airfields to transit military planes or pre-position military planes for any attacks against Iran. Just seems overly provocative to me. It just seems like something that will upset the US for no apparent reason. Like, while there's the possibility that long-range bombers could be based out of the UK, there's many of other places they can do it. So it doesn't really affect US military plans, but it will upset Trump saying shit like this. It's possibly kind of a counter to Trump shit-talking Starmer's Chagos Island deal, but, who knows in the world of politics, especially these days. But yeah, I just wanted to mention it because it was a bit odd and seemed very provocative to me. And next, Venezuela's National Assembly on Thursday unanimously approved a proposed amnesty that could free hundreds of political prisoners jailed for being critical of the government. The bill marks a landmark, that's a weird way of saying it, landmark development for the South American nation that has spent decades denying holding political prisoners. The change in policy comes after, former President Nicolas Maduro was removed from power and kidnapped by the US military on January 3rd. The acting president who proposed the amnesty law last month has signed the bill. So what? It's just another step in appeasing the United States, right? However, it could lead to a boom in opposition support as, these political prisoners were removed for some reason or another, most likely, being strong opposition candidates or working for opposition political parties. So yeah, it's possible that this amnesty could lead to a significant rise in support for opposition characters as they become released. It's also likely that the US has currently shifted its focus towards Iran, as we've just covered, but that very quickly could come back. They've moved military assets away from Venezuela, who were blockading it. It doesn't mean there's no military assets there. There clearly still are, intercepting oil vessels every now and again. But yeah, US focus has definitely shifted for the time being. But I think it would be foolish for the current Venezuelan leadership to think that that couldn't shift back very quickly if they stop kind of doing what Trump wants them to do, which is kind of scary. And lastly, Kenya's National Intelligence Service said that 1,000 Kenyans have been recruited to fight in Russia for Russia in Ukraine after allegedly being duped with the promise of employment. The findings were presented to lawmakers by the parliamentarian leader I'm not saying that name, by the parliamentarian leader on Wednesday. So they've accused Russian embassy officials of colluding with recruitment agencies and human trafficking syndicates to recruit Kenyans to fight in Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine under the guise of being given employment. He said that the Russian embassy would issue them tourist visas and then they would travel over and be sent to fight. He also said that according to reporting, 89 Kenyans were on the front lines. Currently, 39 have been hospitalized and 28 have been confirmed to be missing in action, with at least one confirmed dead. According to reports, recruiters target soldiers and former soldiers and police officers, as well as unemployed people, with the promise they could earn up to 350,000 shillings, which is 2,300 euro or 2,700 US dollars per month, with bonuses up to 9,000 US dollars, likely if injured or killed. So what? So, both sides are definitely using foreign troops to fight this conflict. It's been widely reported the amount of foreigners who have gone to fight for Ukraine. And now it's becoming much clearer that Russia is also trying to entice foreigners to come and fight in their military, likely as they start to run out of their own citizens to fight in this war. There's been reports that Russia can no longer sustain the casualty numbers that they have in the past, and that they aren't bringing enough people into the conflict as fast as they're losing them, basically, just through their military tactics. It's unlikely to stop, and I don't think it's likely that African countries will do anything about it. Sadly, a lot of them are kind of in bed with Russia in one way or another, whether it be to have Russian mercenaries support their regime so they don't collapse, or through other economic ties. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Russia has definitely come in a big way, using the anti-colonial banner to try and gain influence in there, alongside China. Yeah, and it works because it's a lot of money for Africans. But sadly, lots of them don't get the money, even if they're injured or killed. Family members can't get it. This doesn't just happen to Africans. Lots of Russian soldiers report this as well. So, the family are promised that they'll be paid out X amount if a soldier is killed. Then the soldier's reported missing, but never gets to be confirmed killed. And then the money just never gets paid to the families, which is sad. But also, on the other hand, fuck them. So, I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, I don't know what Africa's going to do about it and how they're going to deal with it. But they're probably going to call out the Russian embassies and they'll deny it, and then it'll just fall off the radar. So, yeah, it's unlikely we're going to see it stop anytime soon. But anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again on Monday. See you.